Welcome to part 3 of class 1 of our mindfulness course. In this section, we're going to talk about formal mindfulness practice. And that is, we're out of the arena of action. We're not doing any kind of activity except just sitting there. Being aware, being mindful of whatever comes into our consciousness, into our attention. It could be called a form of meditation, unless you're allergic to that word. A close parallel may be a meditation form called shikantaza in the Soto school of Zen. And shikantaza is often translated just sitting. So we're just sitting. Now there are many forms of meditation and with many purposes and techniques. Sometimes people meditate in order to become more calm, more relaxed. It has health benefits. Sometimes a style of meditation is designed to increase our powers of concentration. So we try to really keep those thoughts from coming in and just focus on the subject, perhaps our breath. Some of the goals of some forms of meditation are to get these insights we talked about. Maybe to connect with what you might consider a higher power or the source, or you might call it our true self. So many styles of meditation, many reasons to meditate. For our purposes here, for mindfulness meditation, our purpose is to just simply practice being mindful, being aware. Now, some of these goals of meditation might appear as byproducts. For example, we might get increased insights from sitting and practicing. Most likely, at one point or another, our bodies will calm down and our minds will become more calm, possibly, from time to time. We may develop an increased power of concentration as well. But for our purposes, let's consider these byproducts. What we're really doing here is strengthening this ability to come back from being lost in thought, to be fully present in the present moment, to be aware, to be mindful. Formal mindfulness practice, we could say, has two benefits. As we mentioned, we're practicing being aware and coming back. And when we do that away from the arena of action, it's almost equivalent to a golfer practicing their swing outside of the game, or a musician practicing some scales outside of doing a concert or recording. And the second benefit of formal mindfulness practice, I like to call it supercharging the benefits of mindfulness practice. For example, we talked about being more open to insights, whether it's about ourselves or situations, or the big insights into the big questions of life. Who am I? What's life all about? Why are we here? So because we're not involved in any activity other than sitting there, our awareness of these things increases. And through practice over time, it can get stronger. And we have more opportunities to experience those insights, as well as our general awareness in the moment and our ability to come back from being lost in thought. So basically, formal practice is a way to really focus on our awareness of whatever comes up. So when we do this formal practice, it rubs off into our daily life and our daily life mindfulness practice. The increased awareness, the increased ability to come back from being lost in thought quicker and more frequently. Helps our daily life practice. And as well, our daily life practice helps our formal practice. So it's wonderful to have both kinds of practices going on. So how do we do this formal mindfulness practice? We sit comfortably yet upright. If you have a practice where you're using the traditional seating postures like the lotus, half lotus, quarter lotus, Burmese, any of those kinds of practice, if that's comfortable for you, then go ahead and do that. If not, sitting in a chair is fine. Just make sure you're upright but not stiff. Breathing passages are pretty unobstructed. And maybe start off with being aware of your breath, of relaxing your body a little bit. Sometimes we use an anchor, such as the breath, to keep us a little more grounded while we let anything and everything come into our awareness that does. And then be aware of whatever comes in. You might hear a sound. You might feel a sensation in your body. A thought might come in. Be aware of it. You might feel an emotion. Really feel it. Experience it fully. If you prefer, you can keep your eyes closed. If it's comfortable to keep them open, perhaps you'll see something in your field of vision. That can be part of the practice too. Just being open, being aware. So now it's time for our in-class practice, formal mindfulness practice, sitting practice. So sit comfortably, upright, relax, get alert. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, sort of look ahead at a 45-degree angle. Feet firmly planted on the ground, or if you're in one of the traditional meditation postures, assume that. If you prefer to keep your eyes closed, go ahead and close them. Just be aware of our natural breathing in and out. Wherever you feel the breath most prominently in your body. Keep your focus on the breath gently, but allow anything else that comes into your awareness to appear. Perhaps you'll feel a sensation in your body outside of the breath. Perhaps just a general awareness of the body. Be aware of it and come back to the breath. Maybe you'll hear a sound. Be aware of that sound. If your mind comes up with a thought about the sound, maybe naming it or complaining that it's not quite enough for meditation, sometimes happens. Be aware of that, and then just come back to the pure listening to the sound, whatever it is. Then back to the breath again, in and out, natural breathing. You may notice the state of your emotions, general feeling tone perhaps. Feel it, Be aware of it. Then come back to the breath once again. We'll continue this way for a few minutes, being aware of whatever comes up, then coming back to the awareness of the breath. If after a while you notice that you've been lost in thought, be aware of that. It's perfectly natural. And the practice is, when you notice that, come back to the breath once again and resume being aware of whatever comes up. So that was formal mindfulness practice, just sitting, being mindful, being aware. So what was that like? Let us know. As we do our homework, so to speak, during this coming week, as we mentioned in the last section, there are going to be different focuses each day on daily life practice, different activities we can do in mindfulness. And in the same way, for each day, we're going to have a little different focus in our formal mindfulness practice. For example, one day we'll use our breath as an anchor. We'll practice doing that. Another day we'll be aware of whatever comes in, but we'll have a special emphasis on the thoughts that come in, being aware of those. Another day, our emotions. We'll experiment with using the breath as an anchor, just focusing on the breath in our body. And another day, we'll use the breath as an anchor again, but we'll be aware of whatever comes in. Anything is open to our awareness. And as the week nears a close, we'll drop using the breath as an anchor and just do what we might call free-form meditation or free-form formal mindfulness practice. When we sit there and we're just aware of whatever comes up moment to moment. Sort of a way of putting all these things together that we've honed in on separately and just allowing whatever comes in to come in and using our experience to be able to hone in on whatever it is moment to moment. So this concludes the video instruction for this week, this class 1 of our mindfulness course. I've had a couple of disclaimers along the way, but I want to end with another disclaimer. It's the practice that counts. These teachings are a guideline, sort of a roadmap to get started and to stay on course. But going back to Zen, we mentioned shikantaza, but there's an old Zen saying that Zen is like a finger pointing at the moon. Don't mistake the finger for the moon itself. In other words, teachings, ideas about mindfulness practice are pointing the way. And the moon, you could say, is this pure awareness with which we experience life, experience insights, become more loving. This pure awareness. So don't mistake the teachings that point to this pure awareness for the pure awareness itself. And really, the only way to experience and live in this pure awareness is to practice in daily life and formal practice. So thank you for joining us, and enjoy the week of practice.